Okay guys, good morning. So today we are starting software distribution, and so in the software distribution the first thing I wanted to ask you guys, what do you understand by software distribution first of all? Amar?
Distributing any softwares to the device.
Okay, distributing softwares to device. Okay,
It could be applications, drivers, scripts, any of the
so you say it could be applications, drivers, and what's the third one?
scripts, any scripts, automation scripts, which
Okay,
needs to be changed within.
okay, any kinds of scripts. So if I ask you, since you have touched upon these applications, drivers, and scripts, Uh, do you have anything else? So if I talk about applications, okay. So what are the different formats of applications you have seen? I'll give a couple of them. .exe slash .msi.
MSI.
Yeah, go ahead. Any one of you.
Yeah, these two I have also come across, dot MSI and dot .exe.
Mm-hmm. Sai. I think Anil will have a couple more because Anil is real-time working on the software distribution. Right, Anil?
No, so I'm not working in software, just like it's a console. So even I have come across only these two only.
Okay, okay, fine. So let me add a couple more things and tell me if you have seen this. You might have seen this, right? You might have
Dot .bat.
right dot cmd, right? And let's talk about appy, right? Or maybe you might have seen something like apex files, dot apex files. Dot apex are these apps, right? And similarly for Windows apps, Android apps, and even your iPhone apps. Okay, wait a minute. Let's all say good morning to Manju once he joins. One,
And
two,
I just wanted
three. Good
recording.
morning, Manju.
Good morning. Sorry, I just over.
No problem, no problem. Thanks that you woke up. Okay. So we just started, Manju. Don't worry. We just started with the last 2 minutes back we started, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to check is recording turned on.
Yes, yes. The recording is turned on.
Oh, right.
Okay. So what is software distribution? Yeah, software distribution is distributing the softwares to devices. And you said some of the examples of softwares, it could be applications, drivers, or scripts. And when we look into what are the different formats, you know, .exes, .msis, .batch files, it could be VBS, command lines, PowerShell, or even your um, mobile phone apps, right? Like your Android apps or iOS apps or Windows Store apps. So all of them are kind of applications. Now, who are your target audience? To whom you wanted to push this?
And
The
users and client machines.
Okay, so to be very simple, users and devices, right? That's what you said. And users and machines. Okay, cool. Those are your target audience. Now, how do you do it? So, you know what you're pushing, to whom you're pushing, and how you will push it. So basically, you first create an application in SCCM, right? Then you create a collection. So I'm just putting in the SCCM world, what we call them. In SCCM world, you have something called packages and programs. Hey, somebody is, okay. Amar, you have any question?
no manner.
Okay, okay. So in SCCM world, if I have to talk about, so you have packages and programs and applications. Okay, so this is what we are pushing, packages and programs and applications. To whom are we pushing? In SCM world, if I have to tell, we are pushing to collections, right? Collection could be user based or device based. So how you are pushing? In SCM world, we call it as deployment, or in 2007 we used to call it as advertisements, right? So we call it advertisement or deployment. So basically what you are doing, you are connecting the dots between A and B package. So when you are pushing a package to a collection, you need a advertisement or deployment in SCM, right? Now you understand packages and programs, collections, and the means, the mode, how you're doing this is through deployment. Now, what is distribution then? From where do you got this word of distribution? Anyone?
When we are doing it on mass deployment, we'll be distributing it on those devices. That's the understanding.
So you say if on single machine it would be called as deployment, if it is on mass it would be distribution. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's the understanding.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Others?
Deploying in the server and distributing to the users is what
Mm-hmm.
the application and server and sharing them to the devices.
Okay. Okay. So you mean to say deploying to a server and distributing to each client machine. That's what you think, right, Sai?
Yeah, yes, Manoj.
Okay. 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 So it's slightly opposite. So basically what happens is when you say distribution, you are sending it to the distribution points. You have something called DPs, right? So what do you call them? You call them distribution points. You don't call them deployment points, right? So distribution points. So basically what's happening here is, wait a minute. So you see here, so what does this distribution point say? A configuration manager server role that stages packages for distribution to clients, right? A configuration manager server role that stages the packages for distribution to clients. So basically what happens here is, whenever you wanted to push, you have your main server in Hyderabad, okay? And then you have your other servers in Bangalore. I don't know what is the code for Bangalore. Hey Bangaloreans, tell me, what should I put here? BNG?
It's BLR,
Ah, sorry, BLR. And then you have Chennai, I guess, Mass. Okay, so,
MAA,
sorry,
MAA, I think. That's
M
the railway code. Double
MAE,
A.
MAA, Ma.
A.
Okay, I thought Chennai is Mass. Okay, Chennai is the mother. Okay, so fine. So Chennai is Ma. Okay, Bangalore. So now what you have to do is you have a package and you have to distribute it to, you have to, wait a minute. So you have a package, you created it in Hyderabad. So the package is VLC Media Player, right? And the objective is you need to distribute it to 100 machines, out of which 10 in HYD, 30 in BLR, and rest 60 in Chennai, right guys? So in this case, what you need to do is, first you'll create an application in SCCM. If this is your objective, sorry. If this is your objective, first what you'll do, you'll create an application in SCM, right? So application created in SCM. Then you'll create collection, right? Collection. So do you need to create 3 different collections, one for Hyderabad, Bangalore and Chennai? No, not really. It's not mandatory, but if you want to do that way, you can do it. But since you are deploying an application to all these 100 machines, irrespective of whether these machines, where these machines are located, you don't need to create multiple locations, right? Multiple collections. So you can just create one collection and put all these 100 machines there.
Collections for machine or collections for software?
Collection is a group of computers or users, right? So I'm creating one collection which will have this group of 100 machines. These 100 machines will be part of that collection. So I can name that collection, however, see, I can name it as COL, standing for the collection, underscore VLC. Okay, so maybe I can say underscore install. So anything which is under this collection whose name is VLC COL underscore VLC underscore, those machines will get VLC media player installed. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have applications in SCM. I have one collection. I have created an application. I have created one collection. Then what we need to do, I'll create, before I create the deployment, right, to this collection, I need to distribute the application. So when I'm saying distributing, basically what I'm doing, I'm copying the content of VLC media player, right, the VLC media player binaries, to where do I distribute? I distribute to Hyde, BLR and Chennai DPs. So at every location I'll have one distribution point, right? So basically I'm distributing the contents. So in VLC media player, what will be the content? Maybe the VLC media player.exe. That's the installation file. So that installation file should be copied to Hyderabad, Bangalore and Chennai DPs, right? So why I'm distributing them? So that I know that in Hyderabad there are 10 machines, in Bangalore 30, and in Chennai there are 60 machines. Maybe you also have one more branch office, like something like Mumbai. I don't know what's code for that, or maybe I'll take a easier one. For me it is Vijayawada is easy for me. I belong to that place. Okay, so Vijayawada. So there's one more branch office there, but you don't have machines. Either maybe those machines does not need VLC media player, right? In that case, you don't need to even deploy. You don't need to distribute to Vijayawada. Maybe in future, if they require, you can distribute it. But for now, you don't need to distribute it, right? You'll just distribute only to Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai, because those 100 machines are only spread across these 3 locations. Those machines are not in Vijayawada, right? So basically, the whole intent of distributing to a DP is so that these 10 machines or these 30 and 60 machines do not connect to only one location. Like they don't connect to Hyderabad over internet, over WAN, and start downloading the exe from there. Now what will happen, since you have already distributed, each of these clients will only go to their respective DP, which is connected in the LAN. In their own office, they have one server. In that server, there is VLC player. So they will not connect to Hyderabad office and Hyderabad server. They will just connect to Bangalore office, Bangalore server. Chennai will also connect to Chennai office, Chennai server. Make sense? So you have distributed it. Fine. Now, how will the client machine know that I need to install this application? You created an application, you created a collection, okay, and you have distributed the content, but you never told the machine to install. There's no command which went to the machine, right? So the command which goes to the machine is deployment. You call it deployment or advertisement. So basically that is the push, the command, the policy which is going to the end user machine, right? So every 60 minutes, I told you, right, the policy will be downloaded from the management point. So when you create the deployment, a policy is getting created at the management point. Now when these client machines every 60 minutes, when they talk, they understand, okay, there is a deployment targeted to me. I have to install this application. That's when they go to your DP and download the content. So you create one deployment. So basically when you create deployment, all you need is application name and collection name. So what I'm supposed to deploy? and to whom I am supposed to deploy. If you know these two, you can create a deployment. Right, guys? This ends the software distribution in a very high level view. If you understand this, then we can talk about what are the different ways of creating applications, what are the different ways of scheduling them, right? How to uninstall an application and all kinds of automation which is included in that, right? But if you understand this basic concept, then we can move further. Do you have any questions here?
I just understood, but still want to just can you please explain this?
Sure. So before I re-explain this, I want to hear your understanding towards these 4 steps. Tell me, what did you understood?
Um, like I just understood, there is an application which required to be deployed for 100 machines which are there in the different places. For that, we make the application application or package which will hold the DP points for the software, and which is going to every time it's going to when it is reaching to the when we are start with the deployment, it every time reaches to the end-to-end machines wherever it is pointing, and whichever is available, it will try to push it up to a like how many try it has available. So like that.
But from where did you get this timeout concept? You're saying retrying, right? So I didn't understand that part because we haven't discussed anything
I
about.
just that's what I just assumed and was telling because I told you that to the explain. That's why.
Okay, fine. So yeah, because I don't want to get into the the further concepts. I just want you to understand these 4 steps to start with. You have the requirement is VLC media player needs to be installed on 100 machines. The machines are spread across 3 different locations. To meet that, what you will do, you'll first create that application in SCM. Either you call it as application, package and program, right? Whatever. You create that application in SCCM. Then you create one collection wherein you'll put all these 100 machines. Either you put it manually, these 100 machines, or you do it a dynamic query for that. That's a different story, right? But you put all these 100 machines to a collection. Now you have all the applications. You have application ready, you have collection ready. Then first step what you need to do is make sure this application is distributed to their local DPs, so that once you put the deployment, immediately the client machines will start asking for source binaries, right? The moment you create a deployment, client machines will be asking for source location. Where should I download from? So first distribution should happen, then deployment should happen. If you don't distribute first and then you do deployment, what will happen? The moment client machines will start asking for DP, they don't find the content on DP, so they all will fail, right? So that's the reason, distribute the application first. So when you distribute to local DPs, the machines can directly connect to their local DPs and download from there. That's the third step. Finally, you're creating a deployment, which is a connectivity between your application and collection. You're saying, okay, this is the application and these are the target machines you need to push to, right? So when you do that, in the background process is what we have discussed multiple times. That is nothing but every 60 minutes MP will the client machine will talk to the MP. So it finds that there is a policy, it evaluates the policy, it will see, okay, I need to install this application, right? It knows that it has to install the application, but it does not know where the location is. I mean to say where the content is, right? So it will go to it will go back to the management point. It will ask, where is my distribution point? Management point will tell, this is your distribution point. Since you are in Hyderabad DP. Since you're in Bangalore, there is a DP in Bangalore. So it will give your local DP's address. Once it gets the local DP's address, it will contact the local DP, start downloading the content, and finally it will install the application. Right after application is installed, again it will talk back to the management point saying that, hey, I've installed the application. So this completes the entire software distribution process. Okay, so this is the high level eagle view. If you understand this part, then you will understand. We can talk about the advanced things. We can talk about some real-time scenarios, how you do it, what kind of requirements, what are conditions. So there are so many other things, scheduling and other things. We can get there. Right, guys? Shall we do this on the SCM console? Okay, cool. So where do we do that? So you have assets and compliance, which talks about only the devices. You have the software library. So this is where you have application management, right? So let's go here. So to do that, first of all, we need to have application binaries. I guess I have some binaries to share with. Just give me a minute. So say suppose we need to push this VLC media player. Okay, on our client machine we already have VLC media player, right? We'll uninstall that. That's not an issue. And let me see. Wait a minute. Is my test machine up? No, it's not. Okay, I've started my test machine. So meanwhile, what we'll do, so I told the first step is to create SCCM packages or applications, right? So let's start with packages. So basically packages and programs were there even before SCM 2012 application model. So this application concept came from 2012. So earlier there used to be called packages. So let's learn from the basics. What is a package and why are they still here? So you can still see packages, right? So let's start with packages, then we'll proceed with the applications. So in packages, what I'll do, let me first create a new folder to have a proper organized way. So I'll say like, I can have core applications. So applications which needs to be on every machine, I'll call them as core applications. Then maybe I'll have one more folder called line of business applications, right? LOB, line of business application. Those are just namings I'm giving, right? Don't worry about that. So similarly, I can give one more thing which is maybe miscellaneous applications. Now under this miscellaneous, I want to create a new package, right? So I say create package. So what is the name of the package? VLC media player. So before I proceed further, guys, how many of you have created packages or applications in SCM?
No, Manohar, I haven't prepared them.
Okay. Or if you have seen somewhere in any videos or somebody else doing this, how many of you are aware of creating packages and applications? Anil Manjusai?
No.
Yeah, I created it, but I'm not sure what exactly I was doing the same way what you were going to do. Not sure, but before that, I want to know what is the difference between the applications and packages? What difference? Why
Yeah.
it is like two things?
Yeah. So thanks guys. So basically I wanted to show you that's why I asked the question. So basically I want to show you how a package can be created, right? And after that, when I show you how an application can be created, you'll understand the difference between a package and application. What is the benefit of going to applications? As I told you, packages are older version. Those are something like in SMS 2003, SCM 2007, people used to create packages. Starting with SCM 2012, people are creating applications, right? But still some companies, since they have so many packages, while they were in SMS 2003 or SCM 2007, say suppose they have some 5,000 packages, okay? Since they cannot migrate all of those packages into applications, so even currently SCM, the latest version, is also supporting both packages and applications. Just because there are so many applications for the end user, for the different customers, they have so many packages and programs, and that's the reason they're still that's kind of a backward compatibility. They're still allowing packages and programs to be created. So what you will see now is, let's first create a package and program, and then let's create an application. So you'll see the difference between and what are the new benefits, new features that you get when you're creating an application. You'll understand that. Okay, let's first learn packages and programs. So the name I'm giving VLC media player, and manufacturer, it's up to us. So all these others are optional. The only thing is the name is mandatory. Just for your understanding, you can put a version there. What's the version, buddies? It's, I don't know, it says 2.2.5.1, 2.2.5.1, right? Now this package contains source files, right? So this package has source files in the sense that it has some exe to be triggered. So you say yes, this package has source files. So where is the source folder? So let's put this in a folder instead of just leaving it along with other things. I'll say VLC, okay, and put this, and let me also do one more thing. Go ahead.
Manohar, one query here.
Mm-hmm.
And the source folder can be your local machine, or it has to be on a specific server?
It's better if you have it on one standard server, because if you have it on your local machine, right? So tomorrow if you make any changes to it, you know, it's not advisable, right? Or if you are having it on your local machine, so have it on a standard server. Most of the times you will have it on your site server itself, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have it on your site server, and then you'll copy it onto your DPs, so that you have an authentic source of these files. Otherwise, let's assume that you have it on your local machine, and tomorrow by mistake you delete it, right? So then it will be a problem for newer distributions. Whenever you want to distribute to the new DPs, you will not have it there, right?
Okay. Done.
I just shared this particular folder. What's the name? Source, right? So that I can use it at multiple locations. So now, yes, this package contains source files, and the source folder is UNC path, may Sccm, source, and VLC, right? So this is the path. In the next screen, it is asking, do you want to create a standard program or program for device, or do not create a program? So what is the difference between a package and a program? Package, see, now you have actually started with package, but the moment you are creating a package, eventually you are getting a screen to even create a program. It says create package and program wizard, right? So what is a package and program? Why these two are interlinked? Basically, package is the source file. The vlc.exe is the package. Program is the command line to install it. So how will the client machine know what is the command line, right? So for example, in this case, what would be the command line? The command line would be vlc.exe slash some quiet or silent, right? There will be some silent command. You don't want the end user to have to click next for all these applications, right? So whenever you're pushing an application, in the background it will run It will not even show any progress bar. Sometimes it might, and sometimes it will not show any progress bar. Even if it is showing any progress bar, it will not allow the user to have a cancel button there. It will not have ask user to click next, right? So in order to do that, you need to have a command line, right? A silent command line with some parameters, vlc.exe / some parameters. So that command line what you are giving is the program. Package is the actual file, right? So here it is asking, do you want to create a program, okay? Or is it, do you want to create a standard program that is for a client computer, or do you want to create a program for device? So if you have any mobile devices, right? So keeping that in mind, initially in the earlier days for packages, you never had these three options. You just have these two, standard program and do not create. You never had this option, right? But in 2012, what they did, they even gave this option, because considering nowadays we have devices and you wanted to push applications even to the devices, right? Considering that, you have this option. But forget about this device for a moment. So what are the main two things? One is having a program, that means having a command line, and do not create any program. So sometimes all you wanted to do is copy a file to a client machine. In that case, there is no installer, there is no command line. In that case, you can say do not create any program. You getting me? In real-time scenarios, sometimes what will happen in the production environments, you are given a task that we wanted to copy this application or some copy this particular file to all these 100 machines, right? In such cases, you just wanted to copy it. You don't want to install anything. Then you can just say create, do not create any program. I don't want to install it. I don't want any command line. I just wanted to have this copied onto some location, right? So in our case, we pretty much know that we wanted to install VLC media player. So let's go with standard program. That's the default selection.
Manoj, just a question on the previous one itself. Now we said we can install it on the client computer or a device. A device could be a mobile device or any other device, right? Now, in case we have to do it on both, on a device as well as on a mobile device. So do we have to create two programs separately?
Exactly. You need to create two programs.
With the same.
For the same package, you can create multiple programs. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. So now let's create the program. So this is a program wizard. Now what you're seeing is a program wizard, right? In the program, again, it is asking for the name of the program. So what is the name of the program? Maybe you wanted to install this application. So you'll say VLC underscore install is the name of the program. And what's the command line? So first call that exe here. So this is the exe, and I don't know the command line for this. So let's try it out. CMD. Sorry. So cd source, then so this is the exe. So let me put a question mark and see what is the command line for it. I guess it should give me some command line instead of installing the application. Installer language. I think it is just installing it, right?
I think it's installing.
That's what I see. Typically, when you put a / question mark, it is supposed to give you the silent, all the parameters, not just silent, all the parameters. Just give me a minute. In that case, what I'll do, I'll just Google it and tell you in a minute. Command line for VLC. Okay, so these are the different command lines. So let's see if there is something for silent install. We don't want to have all the information, right? We just wanted silent install. Control F, silent. No, looks like there is no silent install for this. Let's do one thing. It says you can put VLC-H or help. Let's do that. If I put like this and put help, it's going to install everything. Let me do one thing. Let me pick up any other application which has a silent parameter. So we can even proceed without any silent parameter, but I wanted to actually show you how it will work. So let me pick up any other, maybe Adobe Reader. Just give me a minute, okay? I'll download Adobe Reader. The EX is downloading. Just give me a minute. And let me cancel this and create a Adobe Reader package. So under sources, source, let us create one more new folder meanwhile for Adobe Reader. Okay, and let me copy the folder here. Cool. So Adobe Reader, and the version is 11. Okay, so let us try to find out the command line for this. Slash question mark. So it is extracting the installation files and it should give the command line. Okay, so it says these are the parameters. Silent mode for product. So you can put /s all for silent installation, right? There are other things like silent mode with progress bar. So you just want the progress bar. You can have SPB so that the end users will get a progress bar. You don't want to end users to get anything so that they are not disturbed. Then we need to have S all. Let's do that, right? /s all. Cool. So let's start with this again. Miscellaneous applications, right? Create package. This time it is Adobe Reader, and the version is 11.some0.10. This package contains source files. Browse /me Sccm. Then you have under source. That's where you have Adobe Reader. It's a standard program, and the name is Adobe Reader install, right? And what's the command line? Browse to that location so that you have the exe first, and then space /s capital A L. So this is the command line, right? Now, how should it run? Whether it should run in normal mode, minimized, maximized, or hidden. So typically, if you don't have any, say suppose there's no silent parameter for that, but it will not ask for user interaction. Say suppose the application will not ask for a user interaction, but there's no silent parameter. That means the user will still get some progress bar, okay, for some application. Then you'll try to go with hidden, so that you don't want anything to be shown. For example, for batch files, typically for batch files, what will happen? A black screen will be, the DOS screen will be coming up, right? Every time a new application is triggering and all that. So you don't want all those batch screens to come up. So what you can say is hidden, so that there are no screens. But in this case, since we have already taken care in the command line itself saying silent, so here you can put normal. Even if it goes normal, it is not going to show any progress bar because of this parameter. So what I'm saying, for some applications, if there is no complete silent parameter, but you still get some pop-ups. So if you want to block all those, you can put hidden. Okay. Now, program can run only when a user is logged on, whether or not a user is logged on, only when no user is logged on. So what's the difference between these three? There will be some applications, right, which requires to create some registries under HKey current user. It requires some user to log in. Only then the application will run in the user's context. If there is some application like that, you'll go with only when a user is logged on. That means only when a user is logged on, because it requires some kind of user's context to be stored in while installing that application, right? It is in that case you'll go with only when a user is logged on. Similarly, there will be some applications which doesn't require any user to be logged on, or maybe you wanted to install these applications only when there is no user logged in. That means only when they completely log their machines, only then you wanted to run this application, say suppose, right? In that case, you'll go with only when no user is logged in. But most of the times what you do is you'll go with this option, whether or not a user is logged on. Why you do this is most of the times we know our users never log off their machines. Either they're logged in or they shut down their machines, or the machines are in sleep mode. They will never ever log off and just keep the machines on. We have rarely seen that. That just happens only during the first 5 minutes of your day. That's when you just log in, you go for a coffee and come back, and after that you just boot your machine, you go for coffee and come back, and then you log in, put your credentials. That's the only time interval, right? But what you wanted to do here is whether a user is logged on or whether a user is logged off, you wanted to install that application, then you should select this option, right? And if you observe here, the moment I make a selection, there is something changing here. Say suppose if I say only when a user is logged on, you have this thing highlighted which says either you can run with user rights because the user is logged on, right? With a user's permission you can install, or you can install with administrative permission. By default, administrative rights is selected. Typically what happens when you want to install an application, you require some elevated privileges to install it, right? So by default that is selected. But if you want to run only with the user's rights, there will be some specific applications, believe me. Okay, so if you have any application which requires only to run with the user's context, then you will say okay, only when a user is logged in and run with user's rights. This rarely happens that your application packager will tell you, okay, this application needs to be installed by a user, only then this application will run. That your application packager will tell, only in that case you will select this. Most of the times, 99%, the moment you click whether or not a user is logged on, this will change to run with administrative rights and it's grayed down. You can't change it. right? Because you are saying whether or not a user is logged on, right? Only in that case it will run with administrative rights. Guys, make sense?
Manohar, a question here. When we choose the option whether or not a user is logged on, and if we have to, there is a specific entry in HKey current user, does it go and sit on the, user's SID, or how this will work? Because if the user is not logged on, how does it go and, any parameter goes and sits on the registry key?
So basically what will happen is, by default it will say, when you're saying whether or not user is logged on, most of the registries will go to your HKLM. If there is anything which needs to go to a specific user, then it will go to the administrative user. It will not go to the your actual end user. It will go to the administrative accounts HKCU, because it is running with your administrative account, right? That is nothing but your local system account.
So at that point of time, will the application or program get executed? Because suppose if I am trying to run the Adobe Acrobat Reader, and it runs based on the administrative privileges, and that particular user does not have the administrative privilege, will the program run? Usually when we open up a program, certain times we put the credential, administrative credential, and then run the program. Will that scenario, be visible or something, or still it will be taken care when it's in the administrative?
Yeah, I got your question. To answer that, so basically what is happening here is, as you said, you are logged in with a user, okay, and you wanted to run this Adobe Reader. So what you will do, since he doesn't have any permissions, forget about SCM. Since he doesn't have any permissions, you'll say run as administrator or run as a different account, and you'll run that exe. So when you're doing run as different account who has got admin privileges and installing it, what is actually happening is, it is installing as if administrator is running it. It is creating only HKCU into the administrator itself, right? Everything is being created there. The same thing we are replicating here through SCM. But what will happen, how these applications are designed is, even though it is getting installed with administrator, the first time when a user clicks on a shortcut, right, that's when, if you have observed, it will take a little bit of time to, the very first time he installs, it will take a little bit of time to write some components, right? So at that point it will be writing, okay, now the user has triggered, it will write some components under HKCU, something under his my documents or something like that, right? So that's when the applications will kind of self-heal or initiate and put those entries into the user's context at the very first time. So you don't need to worry about it. All these applications, when they are created, that's how they are designed.
Okay.
You're getting my point, right?
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
What I was telling is, when you go with this specific user thing, is only when you specifically know that a user related entries needs to be created, and this is only for a specific user. It is not like every user cannot use this application on this device. On this device, only a specific user can use this device. It is not for everyone on this computer. Most of the time you must have seen this option. So when you're trying to install applications, it will ask only for this specific user or for everyone. You get that option, right? So when you have a general application, when you have an application which is very specific to a user, only then you will go with this particular settings. But believe me guys, the chance of this is like 1% or 2% is in the real-time scenarios. Most of the times you go with whether or not user logged in and run with administrative rights. This happens like 99% is. Clear? Now, so what is this saying here? Allow users to view and interact with the program installation. As I told you, most of the times we go with silent installation, right? Sometimes for the applications, say suppose you wanted the user to give some inputs there. He has to type in his name, or he has to type in and select the location or time zone, something like that he has to select, and you wanted the prompt to wait for user's interaction. You'll select this, saying that, okay, buddy, this application requires user's intervention, so I want the user to see the screen and he has to give an input and then say next. Only then it is going to proceed with installation, right? If that is the case, you'll select this. So as you can see, by default it is not selected, because most of the applications in the environment, they don't require users interaction. Because what is the whole point of SCCM? The whole point of SCCM is when you're distributing a software, there should be zero impact to the end user. He should never know that something is going on running on his machine. We should not disturb his productivity. If he's working, he's in a meeting or he's working on something else, suddenly an application pop-up should not come and say that, okay, now you have to install, give all these parameters and say next and install that application, right? You don't want to waste the end user's time. It should be automated, everything. So he should not be even knowing that some application is getting installed. Once the entire application is installed, he should get a notification saying that, okay, so and so application is installed your device, now you can start using it, right? If you want to give that experience, this is not required. So that's the reason most of the times you don't have it, unless and until a specific application's requirement is in such a way that user has to give an input. You getting me? And drive mode, by default it will install from the UNC path that you have given, right? So that's what it is asking. Should it be from UNC path, or so you must have seen some applications have a specific drive letter. They have to be triggered from Q drive. They have to be triggered from Z drive, right? They have some specific drive letters that they have to be installed with. So understand why these many options there are in packages and program wizard, or even in applications also you will see so many options. You don't need to confuse with all those options. Those options will come in handy when the specific application's behavior is in such a way, right? That's the reason they have given all these different options to you, because we never know, like you're talking about what was the application the other day, you're saying about uh, team setup, team call, something. Anil, you were saying some application, right?
Team Center.
Team Center, yeah. So Team Center, maybe the Team Center application requires a Q drive for installation, or there could be some SAP application requires, or Oracle application requires a specific drive letter, right? If such kind of applications which requires specific drive letters, you'll go ahead and give this option, but 99% runs with UNC name, right? So you can just go with the default one. So let me summarize what we have given in the program. We gave the name of the program, then the command line, this is the heart of the program, right? This is mandatory. So you're giving the command line, you'll give it for the silent installation, right? Run in normal mode, and whether or not a user is logged on, run it with administrative rights. If you want any interaction, select this. If you don't, fine. Then finally the drive mode, right? 90% it is UNC, unless until you have a specific drive letter required for an installation to happen.
Manohar, what is that startup folder?
Yes.
Any
Yeah, so again, that is also for specific applications. So what will happen is some applications require to be triggered from, as if it is getting triggered from a local machine. On the machines from, it has to be triggered from C drive, in this case it is Adobe Reader, right? C drive temp, or yeah, you can say like that, C drive temp or C Windows temp. It has to start from there for the installation to complete, right? In that case, you'll give, okay, this is the startup folder. I'm assuming that this application is running from there. Okay.
Okay.
To give you a better example, say suppose you have a exe, but all its binaries, all its prerequisites, or what and all it will call are already there on the temp folder, right? So what you'll do, you'll give C temp. So the moment this exe triggers, it will actually go to that C temp, and it will have all its prerequisites there. It will be keep on running one after one, which are already there in the C temp. Even that way you can understand it, right? So basically, startup folder is for specific applications, right? Let's move ahead with. So have you ever seen that one application has a dependency on another application? Sometimes this application will only run when the other application is run. Have you seen that kind of scenario?
Yes,
Okay.
.NET.
Yes. So can you give me one example? Like one is .NET framework. Any other example? Manju, can you think of one example?
No idea.
So what I'm saying is, sometimes when you're installing one application, okay, it requires another application to be installed first before you proceed with this, right? As Amar said, some applications have dependency on .NET or VC++ or Silverlight, right? So such kind
Just
of
like a Java
exactly Java.
class player.
Very good, very good. Yes. So some applications requires Flash Player or Java to be installed. So those are prerequisites, right? So when you have such kind of prerequisites or some dependencies, you'll click here. I'll say run another program first, and you'll select here the other package and program, right? So you must have created that package even before this package, right? You have to first create the Java package or the .NET package before, and then you'll create the actual package, the actual Adobe Reader package, so that you can select it from the drop-down list. You getting my point? Now, what is this always run this program first? Already you have this option run another program first. What does this always run this program first means? Anil, I see you raising a hand. You have a question?
Yes, like from this initial start of this class, I'm getting confused. Like a package and a application. I thought like a collection of applications is a package. No.
No, 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 nothing like that. So the VLC media player, it just has one exe, right? So that exe
Yeah.
can be either created in SCM as package. That same exe can be created in SCM as application. The only thing is package is the older name to it. As I told you,
Mm-hmm.
SMS 2003 and 2007 used to have packages and programs. Those are the older version. The latest version is applications.
Okay.
That's the only difference.
Okay.
Okay. So okay, let me put your hand down. Okay. So coming to my question again. So say suppose if you want to install Adobe Reader, say suppose .NET is required. So what you are doing here, you are creating .NET framework package first, and after that you are creating your Adobe Reader package. And while creating Adobe Reader package, you will have an option here to select the dependencies. So here you can browse, and it will show all the previous packages which are already created. So it will show the same structure here. Say suppose if you had any packages, it would have shown you. We haven't created, right? So otherwise it would have shown you the .NET package. You can select that package and program. Fine. Now my question is, you have run another program first, then again you have always run this program first. So what's the difference between these two? I'm just going in detail with every checkbox and every drop down, because that's when we discuss more and more real-time scenarios. I'll be telling why this is required, then there is a scenario, right? That's how I wanted to go ahead. So tell me, when do you think always run this program first is required? So here's the thing. When you click run another program first, what it is doing is it is installing .NET, okay, and then it will install Adobe Reader. Now what will happen? Say suppose when it is trying to install .NET, okay, SCCM will tell that already .NET is installed on this machine. And how do SCCM know that? SCCM will check this package previous deployment track record. It will say, okay, I see that on this machine .NET was deployed on in the month of March, and .NET successfully installed. Based on my database, it shows that the exit code was 0. .NET was already installed on this machine in the month of March. So considering that .NET is already installed, this time I'm not installing .NET again. I'm directly going with Adobe Reader installation. That's what SCCM will tell it. But say suppose in the month of March .NET was installed, but after that somebody had uninstalled .NET. SCCM is blindly going with the database record saying that .NET was installed. It is not actually checking whether .NET is still there on that machine or not, right? So that way what's happening here is you are assuming that .NET is still there and you're proceeding with Adobe Reader, then Adobe Reader will fail because the .NET is not there, right? So when you select always run this program first, in this case what will happen, even though SCCM's record says .NET is already there, it will again try to install .NET to make sure that .NET is there, right? It will again try to install .NET and then it will proceed further with Adobe Reader. So this is required when you wanted specifically that no, I wanted to, this is a mandatory prerequisite. Even if SCM says like 1 year back this application was installed, no, I want to again make sure that that application is really installed or not. So when you want to enforce it, you'll click always run this program first. If you don't want to enforce, you'll just give the program. Guys, are you able to follow me?
Yes, Manohar.
Okay.
Even I have did this, like I have uninstalled .NET framework for installing some other software where it's blocking. Okay, so next time if it's need like it needs to check it, either it's a .NET is installed on this machine or not.
Yep, yep, yep. Good. Good that you are able to relate it to your real-time scenario. And others, Manju, Amar, any question at this point? Sai,
No.
who said no? I think Amar said no. Manju?
No, no question.
Cool, cool. Let's proceed further. So in this case, I don't have any other program, right? So this, I just explained it to you. Platform requirements. So what is this platform requirement thing? So basically, sometimes what will happen, a particular application is only for Windows 7. And if you want to install it for Windows 10, there's a different version of it. And if you want to install it for, for servers, there's a different version of it. So in that case, you'll select this program can only run on specified platforms, and you can select, okay, only Windows 7 64-bit or 32-bit, like that. You can select all these different operating systems. So based on where it has to go, you'll select only that operating system. And there is a benefit to it, not just a comfortability, there is a benefit towards it. For example, somebody adds in your 100 machines collection. You remember we have a 100 machines collection, right? In that collection, by mistake, somebody added a server. Some L1 guy or L2 guy added a server. Now this program or this package, when it is running, if you have selected this program can run on any platform, so it will not see whether it is a server or not. It will straightly go and install the application there, right? So that is not what you intended to. You wanted to install this only on client machines. You don't want to install this on server, right? So to prevent that, what you can also do is, even if somebody by mistake adds a machine into the collection, to prevent that, you'll put a requirement here. So the requirement is it has to run only on client machines. All my client machines, I know I have Windows 10 32-bit, 64-bit, and 8. So I can select, okay, these are my client machines, client operating systems. So wherever you find client operating system, go ahead and install. The moment you see server, it should say that, okay, the requirement is not meeting, so I will not install, right? You getting my point, guys? Is this clear? Platform requirement? Okay, I take it as it's clear. So in this case, yeah, Manju,
One second, just
sorry.
once again, just tell me the same
Sure,
thing.
sure. So basically what I'm saying, there are two things why you select a particular platform. The first thing is, if you know that this application is only for Windows 7 32-bit, if you want to install for Windows 10, you have a different version of this application. Or maybe for 32-bit, you have one application. For 64-bit, you have a different application, right? In that case, what you'll do here is you'll explicitly give, okay, this is only for Windows 7 64-bit, for instance. Okay, this is for Windows 7 64-bit. And tomorrow you'll create one more package called Adobe Reader 32-bit, and there again you'll select it should run only on the Windows 7 32-bit, right? So that way you can focus or target only to a specific operating system. That is one way. The other thing what I'm saying, the other benefit is, like, say suppose by mistake somebody adds in those 100 machines collection, they add a server, right? Finally, you're going to deploy this package to that server, to that collection, and in that collection there is a server. So what will happen? Even that server will get the deployment policy, and then it will download from the DP and start installing the application. But that is not what you wanted to. You don't want the Adobe Reader to be installed on a server. You wanted it to install only on the client machines, right? So
Yeah, but I have a question here in middle, sir. But when we are selected particularly all Windows 7, how it will reach to the, how it will pick the server also, if it is there also still.
so where,
Yes.
where are you giving that all Windows 7? Where are you giving that?
Now you selected all Windows.
That is what I'm saying. So since you have selected all Windows 7, that is how you avoid even somebody adds a server, that this is how you avoid it. That's what I'm trying to tell. What is the benefit of selecting this,
Okay.
right? So here what we'll do is either you give the specific operating system, right? So what I can do in our case, in the lab purpose, I can select run on any platform. It doesn't matter to me, right? Now go to estimated disk space. So what is estimated disk space? So basically this is given here so that the end user, yes, I.
Or, the program can be run on any platform in the sense that will also include Linux?
Yes, yes. So when you say any platform, all these platforms, anything which is below this, like servers, Linux, Ubuntu, all Solaris, Oracle, all this.
But in the previous window, we have given an exe file.
Yes, that's true.
But coming to the Linux, as of my knowledge, exe will not get installed in Linux, right?
That is true. That is true. So basically what we are trying to tell here is, instead of, see, if the, what is your motto? Your motto is to, finally you'll create only 100 machines and you'll create a collection, you'll deploy it there, right? You'll not put a Linux server there, right? So anyways, your target machines, you have only those 100 machines, which are only Windows 7 machines. That's where Windows 7 or Windows 10, that's where it is going to get installed. Even if there is a Linux server, the exe will try to install and it will fail, obviously, right? So what you can do is, if you specifically wanted to target it, even if somebody by mistake adds a Linux server, you don't want even this application to try and fail also. Anyways, it will fail, right? But even though you don't want this to even try and fail, what you can do is, you can select all your specific operating systems. But what I'm saying is, since this is a lab, I know that I have only one Windows 7 machine. I can either select Windows 7 64-bit, or else I can just go and say this program can run on any platform. In production environment, what you will do is, you can just select the specific operating systems, your client machine operating systems. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So going to the estimated disk space. Yeah, I was telling about this estimated disk space will help the end user to know how much how much space is required on his machine, as well as even the application, when it is trying to install, right? It will check if that much space is available or not. For example, there are some applications which requires at least 2 GB of space. Maybe the end user has just some 1 GB of space. So instead of trying to download and consume all that 1 GB and then failing, even before downloading, it will check this requirement, right? It will find, okay, this application requires 2 GB and the client machine has just 1 GB, so I'll not even download. And in the log file, it will say that download failed because of requirements not met, right? The same thing happens even for the above one, the any platform, right? So even in this case, it will not blindly download and then find, okay, this operating system is Windows server, so I should not install. No. If you select Windows 7 here, only on a Windows 7 it will download. Even on a Windows 10, it will not even download. It will say the requirements does not meet, so I'm not even going to download it. That way bandwidth is saved. You getting my point? So these conditions, what we are putting here, these three, right? At least these two, the estimated disk space and the platform, these two are checked even before downloading it. So if I put here like it requires 100 MB, so it will check on the client machine if 100 MB is there. If it is there, it will start downloading. Now, maximum allowed runtime. So by default, this is 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. So sometimes what will happen, an application will be running indefinitely, right? So you wanted to crash it, you want to kill the process. So the maximum you'll put is 120 minutes. So by default, if an application is trying to install, for some reason, it is not able to install and it is just lingering around there. So after 120 minutes, automatically SCM will kill the process. Or if you want to make it much lesser than that, maybe after 15 minutes kill the process, you can change this. And for some applications, even 120 minutes is not enough. Maybe they require like more than that, maybe 3 hours. Very few applications, right? For those, you can even increase this maximum allowed runtime. Make sense? Shall I proceed with next wizard, next screen?
Yes, 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 no.
Okay. So finally, this is the summary. What we have done, we have given the first thing what you see till here is for a package. So in a package, all you have is name, version, right? You can give other things like description, language, and other things. And finally, you have the source files, which is the Adobe Reader, right? And when you go to the program, it has the command line. And finally, these are the requirements, right, guys? So say, let me say next. So a package and program has been completed successfully. So if you just do a refresh, so this is the package. right? So if you go back here, so what we just did, we created a package instead of application. What we did, we created a package. Now under this package, what are the programs that you have? When you click on programs, it says you have Adobe Reader install. This will just install it. Say suppose tomorrow you want to uninstall that application. Okay, so this particular package cannot be used for that. Means at least this program cannot be used for that. So what you need to do is you have to create one more program with a command line to uninstall it and create an uninstall program. You're getting my point? So you can click Adobe Reader, then you can create program. Again, it is a standard program. And in this program, this time what you'll give the name as Adobe Reader underscore uninstall and give the command line to uninstall it. The same exe, there must be a command line to uninstall, right? You'll give that command line to uninstall.exe, or maybe it can be that exec/x or something like that. You'll give that command line to uninstall the application. So by default, you're not getting an uninstall command line. You need to create a separate program for that. Guys, are you clear with this? So like that, you can create multiple command lines. Are you clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the package is created, a program is created. So as per our list, what is the next step? We need to create a collection. Let's do that. So let me take you to the collection, device collection, create a device collection. I want to name this as, this is a collection to install Adobe Reader 11. Okay, so what is the limiting collection? I explained, right? So I'll select the limiting collection as all systems. So next, add rule. I can have a query or I will just add directly. Let me add the machine, which is, I know it has some test in it, its name. May test 01 is, that's the name. Next, close, next. So now I have a collection for install Adobe Reader 1. There are no members, just upgrade it. Since we are talking about collection update, let me show you the log file for that, log file responsible for that. So all log files, you know where they will be, right? They're here, C program files, Microsoft Configuration Manager. And do you see call eval? There will be call eval. This is the log file where any collection membership, adding a user or computer to a collection, or removing a user from a collection, or adding a user or computer, right? So that information will be there in the call eval log file, collection evaluation. Right, so it says May 15 collection has changed, and this information is at 7:31, and says it waits for changes next 3 minutes. So let me see if this got already refreshed. If not, we'll do an update membership. This has already got refreshed. So if you see what is the collection ID, right click properties. I guess this is that May 15 thing. Yeah, see, May 0015 is the collection ID. So that's what it is showing here. If you go up, the evaluation cycle started. It says a manual refresh has been triggered on May 15 and successfully evaluated the collection. And if you go a little above, it will also show you, yes, results refresh for collection May 15, one entry changed. That means one computer, it found one computer should be added to it. So it says one entry changed, right? So anytime if you face any issues with collections, you're adding something, maybe you're adding some 100 machines to a collection and you don't know whether how much time it is going to take and why. See, in the test lab, you just have one collection, right? But in real time, what will happen is, believe me, sometimes collection update will take, there are scenarios where it would take even 1 hour. In production, when we are talking about 1 lakh client machines that we have, and you have so many collections and you keep on updating these collections, somebody is adding different L2, L3 guys will be there. Many people will be working on different collections. So somebody is working for software distribution, somebody is working with OSD, but everybody is doing this collection update, right? So in that case, what will happen? They will all run in a priority basis. After one collection, the next collection will be taken care of the priority. After that, the next collection will take. So like that, maybe your collection is in just in queue, wherein other 50 collections are still updating, right? In that case, you don't know why your collection is not getting updated. So what you can do, you can come to this call eval log file. You can see what's happening. Then it will tell you like, okay, currently this is what is running, and yours is in queue. So that information you can find it from here, right? Otherwise, what you will be thinking, I have added some 100 machines to my collection, but those collections, those 100 machines are not getting Adobe Reader package. But the main problem is these 100 machines are not even added to the collection itself, right? So that information you can find from call-eval.log file. Guys, are you clear? Did you understand what I'm trying to say here? Okay, fine. So, okay, so what we did, we created a collection. We added those 100 machines, assume. In our case, one machine is 100 machines. So we added those machines to the collection. Now, what are we supposed to do? Go to the software library. You have this Adobe Reader. Is it distributed somewhere? It says 0 targeted. This is the distribution. What it is showing here is not the client machine. Here it is showing the distribution status. So it says it is not distributed anywhere. Deployments, it is not deployed anywhere. So there are two things we need to do. One is distribution and then the deployment. Distribution is to the servers, to the DPs. Deployment is to the collection. So first let's do the distribution. So how do you distribute it? Right click the package, right? Distribute content. When you say distribute content, say next, add the distribution point, right? This is your distribution point. In our case, our SCCM site server is itself the management point and distribution point. In production, what will happen? We'll have some 100 DPs here, right? So you need to select those DPs. Now, say suppose you know that this application, okay, let me just talk 2 minutes here about distribution point and distribution point groups. Say suppose you have some 100 DPs, distribution points, right? So across the globe, in France, Germany, Spain, in Italy, so different places you have different distribution points, right? Now, what you'll do is you'll create DP groups, distribution point groups, based on maybe location. You can say in EMEA location, you are creating one DP group with the name EMEA, all European regions or Middle East. Then you have Asia specific, APAC, right? And what are the other ones? Maybe the Americas and maybe rest of the world, something like this. So now you have created multiple groups, and what you'll do, you'll segregate these DPs in there. So for Asia Pacific, you'll put these DPs part of those DP groups. Now what will happen is, if you know that a particular application, there is a specific application, SAP GUI 9.x or whatever, there is a specific application, and this application needs to be, will be used by only users in EMEA, right? Then instead of, and in EMEA there are at least 25 DPs. So instead of selecting each and every DP in this wizard, what I'm talking about is in this wizard, out of 100 DPs, keep on selecting each one DP. That is, there are chances of manual errors, right? So what you'll do is, instead of that, you'll directly select, when I'm saying here, you'll say instead of add DP, you'll say add DP group. So currently we don't have any DP groups. So if you create a DP group for EMEA region, so you can just select that EMEA region DP group and all the 25 DPs will be checked. You getting my point, guys? Any questions here? Okay. So similarly, you can also select collection, but I don't want to tell you that at this point of time so that you will get confused. Park that asset. What is distributing to collection means? Just keep it asset. I will again come back there. So for now, distribution point, SCCM, say okay. Next. So the moment you distributed it, check the summary here. So it says in progress. Instead, earlier it was in gray, right? So now it says in progress. Since it is on the same server, I think it will not take even 2 minutes. You just refresh, it will be in green. Refresh it. Okay, it is still copying. So if you want to see the status, you can click on content status. And where's our package? Adobe Reader, yes, Adobe Reader 11. Now it says it is already completed, right? And you can say view status. It will tell you successfully distributed the content. So where it distributed, so it says distribution manager successfully distributed the package to this so and so server. Say suppose if it was in progress, or if there is any error, then here you can see what is that error, why it was not able to distribute it. So most of the times it will be either because there's no space on the DP, right? There's a network issue, or you don't have enough permissions on the DP, on the target location where you wanted to copy. You don't have enough permissions on the DP on that particular folder where you wanted to distribute it. So it could be, as I said, permissions issue, or space issue, or a network problem, right? If it is not these three, it is something seriously problem with your SCCM, like some database replication issue. That is a serious issue that you need to look into your database, site-to-site replication, some bigger issue. Others, most of the time, it should be as simple as just looking at the permissions, space, or the network issue, right? So these things, anyways, at the error screen, when there is an error, you will come to know here. It will clearly tell that so and so error code, and also it will give a possible solution. Okay, you don't need to search for that error code on Bing or Google, so it will give a possible solution. It will say that maybe you need to give permissions on that folder, maybe you need to free some space on the DP. So that way it will give you some kind of an indication here. Okay, so let's go back to our package. So now it is distributed, right? Now what we need to do is we need to create a deployment. So how do you do that? Right click. So guys, I think you don't have any questions on the distribution part. Distributing content should be easier, right? Okay, that I take as you don't have any issue. Okay, Sai, you are saying something?
Nothing. Fine. It's clear.
Clear, cool. So let's deploy it now. So I say right click deploy. So collection, so to which collection I want to push? Browse. This is our collection, right? So what are the two things I required? Just the software and collection. You remember that's what I was talking to you here. When you're creating a deployment, all you need to know is the package or application name and the collection name. That's all you need. So this is my software and this is my target location. So next, it is saying, okay, it is already distributed to DP. Sometimes if it is not distributed to DP, it is giving you an option here. Do you want me to distribute to DP? Looks like your application is not distributed. So you still have an option to select that particular DP, right? So in this case, it is saying that it has been already distributed. Good. Say next. Yep. Now in the deployment, you have a couple of options here. So one is purpose. Is it required or is it available? So what's the difference between these two? The difference is, do you want this application to be mandatorily pushed onto the end user machine, or you just want to make sure that this is available on his software center, right? So when you go to a client machine, where is my client machine? So this is my client machine, right? So when I go to this client machine, I have something here called software center. And how did this install? The moment SCM client agent installs, right, even the software center will come as part of it. Come on. So how many of you have looked into software center as an end user? Maybe not as a SCM admin. As an end user, you must have seen this.
I've seen.
Okay.
I've seen.
Great. So as end user on your client computers, if your machine is managed by SCCM, then definitely even on your local machine you can go, you'll find this software center. So basically it is nothing but it will show all the information about what all softwares are deployed onto your machine, what is their status, whether they are installed successfully, whether they're failed, right? So all that kind of information it will show you not only just softwares, it will show you the operating systems and also the patches. If you have any patches targeted to you, if you have any operating system image, like you're migrating from Windows 7 to Windows 10, right? Such kind of things you'll see under your software center, right? So now the behavior what I'm going to select here, if I say required, what will happen? It will directly deploy that application. It will still show you in your software center. It will say that, okay, the application has been targeted. Immediately it will start downloading and immediately it will start installing. It is not giving an option for you to install. It is automatically installing that application. The moment you put here available, so what will happen? The end user, when he opens his software center, he can see that under available software and he can directly click that application and install the Adobe Reader. So you're not forcing an application to install on the end user. You're just making it available for him. Say suppose tomorrow your end user raises a ticket saying that I require Adobe Reader application. So you'll tell him, boss, the application is already available on your software center. At any point of time, when you're at your free time, you can just go to your software center, open it. You'll see it under available software, double click and install that application, right? So even the end user can do that, or else in the backend, if you want to install it, you will put required. Make sense? So when you put available and required, so what's changing is, so the moment you'll know in the next window much more than in this case. So basically what happens is when you're selecting required, it says since you're saying required, send wake up packets. What are wake up packets? I don't want to get in detail, that's a network concept, but basically can anyone want to volunteer and tell about wake up packets?
If any package needs to be scheduled or run on a specific time, that's what I feel.
Yeah, specific
Wake up
time. So just finish the sentence.
Yeah, so it would be on a very scheduled time the package would run.
No, that is different. When you wanted to run it in scheduled time, okay, I get your point. But what is meant by wake up here? Have you anyone of you heard about Wake-on-Lan? WOL, Wake-on-Lan. It's a networking concept. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
So what's WOL, Wake-on-Lan?
So even though if your computer is turned off, you can,
Yes, you can
use Wake-on-Lan.
Yes.
Like to update or start the computer.
So basically when your machine is on sleep mode, right? When somebody is sleeping, you can wake them up, right? So if your machine is on sleep mode,
right.
So what you can do is you can use Wake-on-Lan packets, network packet, and from a by sending that Wake-on-Lan packet, you can turn on that machine, and then you can perform whatever you wanted to perform on that machine, right? Sai, I see a couple of times you muted. You wanted to say something here? Add something here?
No, actually, regarding the wake up LAN itself, that's it.
Okay. You want to add something?
Nothing else.
Okay. So that is what is wake up packets, right? So I don't want to get into that networking concept because SCM is not handling it. But basically what we are saying is if you wanted to send wake up packets, so you'll select this. But for that there should be there is a different infrastructure. Your machine needs to support it. Your network needs to support it. So that's entirely a different infrastructure altogether. But it's just a provision to send wake up packets. Okay. Most of the times for installing the kind of application that we do from SCM, I don't think you require any wake up packets for that. Like to push Adobe Reader, why do you want to wake up a machine and push it, right? So most of the times you will not use this, but that is a provision just in case in your environment, if somebody asks like, okay, we have some out of our 1 lakh machines, we are assuming that there will be at least some 15,000 machines which will be sleeping at this point of time. But it is a very mandatory critical application or critical update patch which has to go at any cost. It has to go to all machines. For example, you take that ransomware. currently that is what is going on, right? And you know there is a security bulletin released by Microsoft in the month of March, which is MS uh, 007 sorry 17-10, right? So that's a security bulletin. When you install it, it will protect your machine from this ransomware. So how do you do that? So you know that it's very critical. So in that case, you'll say that even if a machine is sleeping or whatever, just go ahead and push this on all the machines so that you're saved. Right? If that is that critical, yes, then you'll go ahead and select something like this. So I'm showing you all these options and discussing about all these checkboxes, that whenever in real time you get any such kind of scenario, you'll then remember, yes, we have discussed this in class. Maybe this is what I need to enable, right? Similarly, allow clients on a metered internet connection to download content after the installation deadline, which might incur additional costs. So basically what we are saying here is metered internet connection is nothing but your mobile hotspots, right? So if you're not using the standard the broadband, and if you're using your metered, any metered like 3G, 4G, any metered internet connection, that's what you're using. So what will happen when you're using metered internet connection, the download for every MB, the amount that you pay is high when compared to a broadband, right? On these metered internet connections. So basically what they're saying is, if it is a metered internet connection, allow it to download this application little later, like when it connects to the broadband. Doesn't require to install when it is on a metered network connection. So it will even check that on a client machine when it is trying to download, okay, is he connected to Wi-Fi LAN, which is like a broadband thing, or is he connected to some kind of a mobile hotspot like Geo or Reliance hotspot? That's what he is using. If that is the case, then I will not download now. I'll wait even if the installation deadline is passing, even the schedule time is going on, I'll still wait, because I know that this is going to incur more cost to the end user. Let's wait until he's connected to the corporate network, and then I'll push this. You're getting my point? So that's how you can even use this. So when I say next, scheduling. So deployment, the first thing which is required for deployment is scheduling. So when do you want to make this available to the end user, and when do you want to make it not available, that is expire it? So I'll say that, okay, I want this to available starting from today 7:41 a.m. I want this package to be available. Okay, I mean to say the deployment is available for the end user, and I don't want this to expire. So what's basically we are telling is, after 7:41 p.m. this policy is ready for anybody to consume. So any machine which is part of any collection, the moment I target to this collection, right, this machine, when it pulls to the when it talks to the management point, it can download the deployment and start working. If you put an expiry time to it, saying that by tomorrow it has to stop. So out of these 100 machines, the machines which will get today only, they'll get this application. If a machine for some reason it is turned off, the user is on vacation today, tomorrow he comes up, he'll turn on his machine, okay, then it will talk to the management point. It will say that, okay, there is a policy for you, there is a deployment, but however that deployment is expired now, so you don't need to install it, right? So in that case, what you'll select is, you'll put an expiry date saying that you wanted it to install only today, or maybe only this application is only valid till 3 months, 6 months. So then you can put expiry date. Otherwise, you will 99% you will not put expiry date to any application. You'll just put the start date. That's it. Okay. And now this is just a available time. Deployment is available and deployment is expired. Now, when do you want to actually run it? You can give a particular time. Like, okay, next Monday morning, so and so time I want this to run. So exactly time, everything you can set here, right? On so and so time I want to run. If not, you'll put as soon as possible. I've seen in most of the cases you go with as soon as possible, right? So when you put as soon as possible, what will happen is, anytime when the user when the machine connects to the management point, say suppose like as the previous example I gave, right, the user went on vacation, right? So today all the 99 machines got it, but the 100 machine, the moment tomorrow when it communicates to management point, as soon as possible it will get it. There's no particular schedule that you're setting here, right? Similarly, as you can see, there are two other options, log on and log off. Guys, don't get confused with so many options, so many radio buttons, so many checkboxes that you have. All these are provisions for you. They are just provision for you, so that based on your requirement, you can select those options. Okay, don't get confused with these many number of options, because applications are not just one and two. Every single day, there will be some hundreds and thousands of applications being created by many third-party vendors. Each application will have its own set of requirements, right? Keeping all that in mind, SCM is making sure that it is able to handle different kinds of scenarios that you have. Okay, there will be some applications which needs to run only at the logon. Some application needs to run only at the log off. Okay, if you have such kind of scenarios, you'll go there. Otherwise, you'll just go to as soon as possible. Guys, is this clear to you, all of you? Okay, I take it as it's clear. Okay, now the rerun behavior. Say suppose the application failed when you're trying to install it. For some reason it failed. You identified why it failed. You fixed it in the background. For example, it failed because on the client machine, on a specific out of these 100 machines, just on one particular machine it failed because it doesn't have enough space to download this application, right? So for that reason it failed. Now you have fixed it. You have freed some space on that. So how do you want to install it, right? So for that, what you can select here is rerun behavior. Rerun if failed previous attempt. So if first time it failed, so again it will try after 30 minutes. Okay, so it will check if now if the space is available or not, and it will install. So like that, whether you wanted to go for rerun or you don't want to go for rerun, that's the point here. Yes, rerun if failed previous attempt. Never rerun deployed program. So once you run it, if it is failed, that's it. I don't want it. I just want a report saying that on these machines it is successful, on these machines it's failure, right? Always rerun program. That's it. Again, as I'm telling you, all these different options are for different scenarios. For example, in a particular scenario, you wanted a particular program to run on every single day you wanted to run it. Okay. Every single day you want to run that program. It is not an application installation. Maybe it is some kind of a batch file which is monitoring. Every day morning it will run and it is monitoring. It is sending some results to the some server, right? If that is the kind of an application you are running, then what you will select here in the instead of as soon as possible, here itself you will give a schedule like every weekly once it has to run on so and so day, so and so time. So you'll put the schedule to rerun every time, right? Along with that, here you'll select always rerun program, so that you wanted this to run irrespective of whether it was successful in the earlier time or failure. You want to run because what it is actually doing, it is rerunning every Monday. It is rerunning and it is collecting some data, some performance monitoring or some kind of data it is collecting, and it is sending to the server, right? If that is the kind of an application you're running, you'll go with always rerun program, right? So as the name indicates, it's all pretty easy. So rerun if succeeded on previous attempt. If it is succeeded, then you wanted to rerun it again, so that maybe you have a VB script which says first time it will run, it will see if this particular thing is successfully completed, then it will go ahead and run the second part of it. If that is the kind of logic you have, you can use this. So don't get confused. These are different kinds of logics. All these you'll come to know only when you're working in production. When your customer asks you different kinds of scenarios, you will get to know that, okay, let me try this because he is asking for this kind of a scenario. Let me go back and check in SCM console how I can change it. Right? That's how you'll come back to this position. But by default, as you can see, rerun if failed previous attempt is the default thing. This is where what by default for any application it will be selected. Any questions here, guys?
Manav, if I want to pull out a report as to how many applications or packages have this option, rerun behavior, hopefully we can pull out those reports, right?
Yes, you can pull out that report, but that's not a default report because what you're asking is something very techy, right? So that will be there in your database. What you need to do is you have to create your own query, SQL query, and create your own report. It is not there by default in any of those 200 plus reports.
Right, absolutely. It will be a custom query itself.
It's a custom query, exactly.
Yeah, because just in terms of network bandwidth usage, if it's trying to rerun on specific devices which has already been end of life or not on the network most of the time, it will keep trying to push on those devices, and there's a network bandwidth which should be utilized. That's the reason we can
Perfect.
either remove the system or
Yes.
remove the option.
Yes, perfect. That makes sense. Yes, you can do that. Okay. So let me proceed further. Rerun if failed previous attempt. Next. Next. So here I'm just going forward because there's nothing here. It is just about your notifications. Okay. Wait a minute. Did I click next here? No. Sorry, I want to even discuss about this. This is the user experience. So allow the users to run the program independently of assignments. So even though it is a required assignment or it is a available assignment, I always want the user to run it. So tomorrow if he wants to run it manually, he can run it manually. If that is the behavior you want to give, okay, you'll select this. And then here we are talking about maintenance windows, but I'll come to this point a little later because now you will not understand what is a maintenance window. So I'll talk about and come back to that point a little later when we are talking about collections, properties of the collection. Okay. So let me proceed further. This is important. Guys, just focus on this. So select the deployment option to use when a client is connected within a fast LAN network boundary. So sometimes what will happen, we are talking about France 1 DP, Germany 1 DP, all that is good. But say suppose in Germany you have 10 offices. Okay. We are talking about just 1 DP. And where is the DP? The DP is in one office in Germany. I'll give a better example. You all must have seen that in Chennai there will be like 10 different offices for Cognizant and 10 different offices for HCL, right? Same thing happens in Noida also. Every metro station you'll have one HCL. So that's how we have in a particular city. We are talking about, okay, we think, okay, there is only one branch office in Noida and we'll consider about one DP. But then there are 10 different physical offices in Noida for HCL, and your DP is sitting just in one location. Then what will happen? Only the machines which are in that location are actually connected to the DP in LAN network, but all the others are connected through WAN network. They are not connected to LAN, right? So in that case, what I'm saying is when it is LAN fast network, download the content from the distribution point and run locally. But if the location is slow, okay, if the network is slow, though it is a within Noida, I'm having a DP in Noida itself, but it is in sector 3, but whereas my client machine is in sector 35 or 36. So how am I going to connect to this server over a WAN, right? So then you can say that instead of wasting the bandwidth, do not run the program if it is a slow network, right? You're getting my point, guys? This is very important. Sometimes what will happen is um, because of some boundaries are not configured properly, something like that, there are chances that your client machine is communicating to, it is sitting in, for example, it is sitting in US, but it is communicating to a DP in UK because of the improper boundary configurations. So what will happen if you select here, by default it is do not run program. If you select here, download content from distribution point and run locally, all these machines in US, they start downloading the content from UK DP, which you don't want to, right? So to avoid that, you say that whenever you find it is a slow or unreliable network, right, then just do not run the program. Just tell me in the reports that I couldn't run this program because it is on a slow network. Let me see from the report, identify, okay, this is what is happening. Then maybe you can look into the boundaries and see why it is going to that machine and why not to your US. You can troubleshoot in the backend, and that's how you want it to make sure that these machines are connected to the fast network. So this is the default option and very important one. Clear? Guys, today I'm seeing very few questions. Is it that confusing or is it that clear?
It's clear.
Okay. Now going to the next option, allow clients to share content with other clients on the same subnet. So this is something called Amuk, can you please go on mute? Okay. So allow clients to share content with other clients on the same subnet. So this is a Windows branch cache concept. Okay. So I don't want to get into deep of this because the main motto is to show you how the application software distribution happens. Later also we can discuss on this. But just to give you an overview, I hope that most of you have used torrents, BitTorrent or some uTorrent. You must have used torrents. And what is the concept of torrent? Basically, if there is a movie or some kind of a software which you wanted to download. So basically what will happen, this is downloaded to one particular from a server, it is downloaded to some 10 users, and now instead of the 11th user going to the server to copy the content, the 11th user will directly go to these 10 users, right? Any one of the 10 users, if they have the package, he will directly contact the one of those 10 users and download it from them. It will not go to the server to download again and again, right? So this concept is called peer-to-peer copying, right? From one peer to another peer, right? So basically the same concept in Windows we have branch cache. So what will happen here is, say suppose you have, take the same example of Noida, okay? In Noida you have so some 100 machines in sector 32, but whereas the server is in sector 5 or sector 1. Now all these 50 machines, instead of talking to all the 50 machines talking to the sector 1 DP and downloading the content, one machine will talk to the sector 1 DP, it will download the content, then this one machine which is already in sector 32, it will start giving the package content to all the other 49 machines. This way it is saving the bandwidth. It is copying from peer to peer, it is not going to the server, right? So if you want to enable that, this is where you enable it. Okay, I don't want to get in details of it, but this is where you do it. And similarly, you have a concept called fallback source location for content. This is also used in a very specific cases, wherein say suppose on your DP you don't have the content. Okay, we talked about Hyderabad, Chennai and Bangalore, right? In that example, the Hyderabad machines are trying to download and they don't find a content on their DP. You can enable fallback source location. You can tell, okay, by default my Chennai is the fallback content for any machine. So what it will do, the machine, it will first try to contact its Hyderabad DP. If it doesn't find a content, what is a fallback server? Okay, my fallback server is Chennai server. Let me go and download from Chennai server. That's how it downloads from the Chennai server. So this is kind of a fallback concept. Whenever the actual DP doesn't have content, it can go to a fallback source location, right? Most of them you don't select it because it will create more network bandwidth. So by default you see it is not selected unless until for a specific application you think, okay, there's no harm in getting it from any machine. Maybe it is just few KBs. Let it, if it is not in Hyderabad, let it get it from any other DP, right? Guys, I am assuming that it's clear to you, all of you, because you're not asking me any questions. I'm assuming that it's clear. If not, please raise your voice, raise your hand. Okay. So next, so this is just the summary. Next. Let me show you what we just created. I guess package creation is simple. You all understood how to create a package in SCM. We created one collection, we added one machine there. We have distributed the application to one DP. Now we have deployed with using the application name and collection name. The only thing we did is after doing this application name and collection name, we have selected the schedule, right? At what time it has to run, we have put it as soon as possible, right guys? And then we just went with the default options. Now what will happen on the client machine? Let's go and check there. So this is my client machine. So just to speed up the things, what I can do, I can just run the machine policy. Go to actions, run machine policy. Before that, let me show you the log files. So what is a flow? So I want to show you the log files. Guys, please focus on this. See, there is Sccm cache. Currently it is empty. So this is where your Adobe Reader binaries will get copied first and installed from here. So you'll see a folder here little later. And under Sccm, let's go to the log files. So the moment I run this policy, right, it will get this policy, it will evaluate about this policy, and then I told you it will start downloading, right? So if you want to check if there are any errors during downloading, anything happens, the first log file you look at is data transfer service. Let me put them in an order of, okay. So the first log is DTS. Let me put this aside. And then you have this content, okay, that log is not yet created because till now I think since you have never pushed any application, I don't see that here. So the next thing is, once I'll show you, once it triggers, you'll find one more log file here. And finally, once data transfer is done, the content is downloaded, then you'll have one more log file called execute manager, exccmgr. This is the final one which will tell you what is happening if there is any installation failure. So for installation failure, you'll see the execute manager. For download failures, you'll see DTS, and there is one more CTM. You'll look into that. We'll see right now. Okay, let's do this now. So first, let me run the machine policy. Run now. Let's see what's happening here. Open the DTS. It says at what time? 8:08. It's downloading some data. It is in the state of downloading data, right? Retrieve data, completed download. Yep, it says, yeah. Let's go there and see if under CCM cache if something is downloaded or not. CCM cache. Yes, you see there is one folder created with the number 1, and it is just created and it has not yet downloaded. Now let's go back to the, wait a minute, I opened one more C Windows, CCM, C Windows CCM, logs. I was telling about there is one more CTM, right? That is content transfer manager. It created now, right? When you open this, it will tell you enter the phase, detailed phases. It is telling download status. It is still downloading data. Okay. Now finally it says successfully processed download completion. Right? It is telling you that the download completion has been has been completed, and you can also check to the CCM cache. Right now you have Adobe Reader downloaded on the client machine. So once it is downloaded, installation will start. So now we have to check the exec manager. Where is our exec manager? This is our exec manager. Where is it? Yep. So here if you see, it is telling you that I have an advertisement for this is the package ID May00A, and the program is Adobe Reader install. And it is telling you that I have downloaded it, change the status from 4 to 5. That means it is downloaded. And now it will tell you the command line. So this is the command line, Adobe Reader exe, right? Created process for passing the command line. Once it is completed, it will tell you what is the exit code. So in the exec manager, you can see the exit code. It is saying under the content location C Windows CCM cache 1, I found that there is Adobe Reader.exe, and this is the command line you have given as all. So using that, I have created a process for that. So if you go ahead and see the task manager, you'll find a process for Adobe Reader. See, it is running. Okay, just completed just now. Adobe Reader is just completed. And if you see here, the exit code is 0. So, right? And it is saying that Adobe Reader install succeeded with exit code 0. So if you go to start, you'll find Adobe Reader installed there. Adobe Reader 11 is installed. Right, guys? So what are the log files that we have seen for this process? First is the DTS. Then you're going to the CTM, right? And finally, you're looking at the exec manager. So what will be there in the DTS? So how to understand DTS? Sorry. So when you're going here in DTS, basically what will happen is, let me go a little above and show you. So this is how you need to check. First thing what you'll do is, all you need to know is your package ID. Okay, what is your package ID? So from where will you know the package ID? Here, when you go to Adobe Reader, properties, or even it was here also. Even it is here also, right? May00A. Just copy your package ID. I'm telling you how to troubleshoot. You have the package ID. Then you'll go to your client machine. On the client machine, you're trying to troubleshoot. It says, oh, there is a failure. So first thing you'll come to data transfers or DTS. And you say Control F and put your package ID there. I'm not able to copy, so I'm just typing in 0000A. So you search with the package ID. The moment you search with the package ID, you'll find there is a DTS job created for it. It will say I have created a DTS job to download a package called May00A, and I want to download it to CCM cache 1. Fine, you have a DTS job created. That's all you get information in here. Now what you need to do is take this DTS job, copy this part, go to the second log file, which is our CTS. Where is it? Content Transfer Manager. So in this log file, you go and say Control F. This is my DTS job. Tell me what's happening with this DTS job. When you click, it says I have created a CTM job corresponding to your DTS job. This is your DTS job, right? For that DTS job, I have created a CTM job. Okay, and it is download it to start the download. So if you keep on searching for that, so right now this is DTS job. After that, you will not find this DTS job. All you will find is the CTM job. This is your CTM job, right? So now take this CTM job, Control C, Control F, Control V. Now you'll see all the process related what's happening for this CTM job. Okay, F3. So it says downloading data, downloading data, downloading data, successfully processed, download completion. Right? So now you know the download has been completed. So since the download has been completed, then only you'll go to your exec manager log file. So why I'm showing you this is in real time, you'll have hundreds of entries here. Here, you just have only one application, so you can clearly see your CTM job, you can see your DTS job, everything. But in real time, you'll have hundreds of jobs created there. So many applications are running in the background. So many things are happening. So what you will do is, first you'll check for your package ID. Let me put it in the notepad so that if you did not get it the first time, please try to focus here, guys. The first thing is take package ID. This is a troubleshooting step, what I'm saying, in case some application failed on the end user machine, you don't know where it failed, whether it is downloaded or not. So the first step is take the package ID, search package ID in DTS log, data transfer service log. Take the corresponding, what is that? DTS job. With that, search in CTM for DTS job. Okay, then you'll find the corresponding CTM job. Now search in the same CTM log file for CTM job with the job ID, right? Then it will keep on telling you it is downloading or maybe pending to download, or while downloading I have faced so and so issue, so I am not able to download, or maybe 30% downloaded, 40% downloaded. So all that kind of information you'll be seeing here, right? So then you'll understand, okay, something is happening in the background or something has failed in the background. So finally, by this you'll be able to know whether a download has been completed or not. Okay, download completed. Now you want to know whether the execution failed or not, installation. For that, what you'll do, again take the package ID and search in exec mgr.log file. So when I go to exec mgr log file and search with the package ID, where do I have? This is where I have. Say suppose this is where you have Control F. We'll check with May 0000A. So it will say I have policy arrived for the package. So it has got a policy. Then slowly if you proceed further, it will tell, okay, I found that is the version 1. I've started downloading and all that blah blah blah. Finally, all these are the different stages what's happening in the background while the CTM job is getting downloaded and all that. You don't need to worry. So keep checking for that until you find the program command line. Because the moment you find program command line, so you have this program executing program command. So the moment you find the program command line, that means it has already completed the download. Only after it is completed download, it will talk about the command line. So what's happening after that? Here it is. Program exit with 0, and here it says installation succeeded with exit code 0. Or if there is any error, this is where it will give you that error code, and here you will see in everything in red. Guys, is this thing clear for you? Right from creating an application to pushing it to the client machine and checking if the log files. Is this entire setup clear for you, or you have any questions? Aman, Manju, Sai, clear? Cool.
Yes.
Clear, man.
Manju, do you have any
Yeah.
questions?
No.
No. Okay. So are you all confident enough to create your own package, program, collection, distribute, deploy, and checking whether it has got deployed or not on the end user client machine. Are you confident in this part? Because initially when I started this session, the first question I asked is, have you ever worked on a package and program? You all said no. Now you have seen a lot about package and program. There's a lot much to digest, right? So if you understood the process, what I would say is immediately in your lab, start downloading some 5-6 applications, 5-6 binaries like Google Chrome setup, there's that. Start downloading 5-6 applications, even Office, everything, and start creating some packages and programs and deploy it to your test machine and see where it is failing. I want you to do that exercise. Can you all take that as a commitment and do that?
Yeah, we will and try it, and then
Yes, yes. So I want you to try that out. At least take one application, one package, okay? Try to install it. Come back to me if you're facing any issues. And I want to see you doing this exact troubleshooting, DTS, CTM, and exec manager. Right, guys? Don't go to applications, creating application, just create a package and program. That's what we discussed today. Tomorrow I will talk about applications. Are you guys clear? Okay. So since I'm not hearing too many questions today, and I think we have actually covered the topic for today. So tomorrow I'll be starting with applications. For now, I'm stopping the recording. If you have any questions, please ask me. Any offline question. Otherwise, we can wind up the session for today.